Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. Well, today we're talking about woke Marvel in a panic over recent reports that show statistically, with numbers to back them up, that Marvel fans are showing fatigue in the Marvel franchise, while DC fans are more likely to prefer single superheroes over a universe, says a new Fandom study. This is actual numbers. It's an extensive study from a reputable source coming from Variety. It's a great article. We're going to go right into it and kind of give you an idea of what is going on with the Marvel brand. And if you think that the people at Marvel aren't aware of this and aren't concerned about this, well, I'm sorry, it just doesn't make any sense, because they've got hundreds and hundreds of millions and billions invested alone just in the production of ongoing films, ongoing TV shows, and what they're trying to accomplish with Disney Plus, which also really isn't working. They just lost $1.5 billion in the last quarter on streaming alone, and a big part of that is failed Marvel shows. So let's go ahead and get into the article. Before we do, be sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up when you like it. You guys have been great. The channel's growing. I really do appreciate you. Okay, Marvel fans showing franchise fatigue. Over 1/3 of Marvel fans feel fatigued from the constant stream of content served in theaters and on Disney Plus this year, according to a new study released on Thursday by the fan platform Fandom. But the study also shows that Marvel fans are also far more inclined to watch any Marvel project in comparison to DC fans, who in turn are more likely to consume film and TV about a specific superhero rather than the entire DC catalog. So the first thing is, when you have fans of something, they're supposed to be anticipating the release. If you remember Avengers Endgame, people were anticipating the release of that movie, not fatigued by the release of that movie. It's the opposite when people are exhausted. Think about it for a second. What's worse than being fatigued with Marvel's constant stream of content? The only thing worse than fans being fatigued with the Marvel output would be fans saying, I don't care about it, I don't want to see it, I'm no longer interested in it. They're certainly not at that point yet, but they're headed to that point. And the problem they have as well is the more and more they produce, the less and less they're going to get everyone who's interested to see everything, which completely reduces the amount of people consuming the product, which is why if you see the most recent Thor movie didn't do as well as the Thor prior to it. Black Panther 2 is not doing as well as Black Panther 1. And they don't even know if they're going to do a Black Panther 3. After Black Panther 1 doing $1.3 billion, one of Marvel's absolute biggest movies, would anyone have thought at Black Panther 1 that they might not do a Black Panther 3? Of course they were going to do a Black Panther 3. No, not now, because they've ruined and overproduced for their franchise. Now, the study also shows that Marvel fans are far more inclined to watch. Those are a few of the extensive findings in the study, which drew a survey from 5,000 entertainment and gaming fans between 13 and 54 years old, as well as what Fandom terms proprietary insights from its platform of over 300 million monthly users across 250,000 different wikis. The most intriguing assertion of the study is that fans can be broken down into 4 subcategories of roughly descending order of intensity. Now, when you have brands, you want as many people in the most intense group as possible, obviously. You don't want that number to go down. You don't want people to say, oh, I'm losing interest in this. You want people to say, okay, I've got a certain amount of money, a certain amount of time. I'm carving that out to passionately follow this brand. Overproduction, and of course, making things woke and ruining the natural identity of the character. Things like Black Panther, where it's like, well, where's T'Challa? Well, we don't have him in this movie. Sorry about that. But here's the world that he inhabited. Like, well, people lose interest in that. There's no merchandise to buy to represent the character when the character doesn't exist anymore because you've taken him out of continuity. Okay, the main core base, the advocates, they are the core fan base described as deeply invested in the IP, so much that it's part of who they are. This is ideal if you're trying to build brands. But to make it part of who they are, it's got to be relatable, which means you've got to have the character in the movie Black Panther. They are most likely to watch content within the first few days of its release. Some franchises with a high number of advocates include Marvel, Rick and Morty, Harry Potter, DC, Star Wars, and Stranger Things. The intentionalists, these fans, which on average make up the largest segment of a franchise fan base, are more discerning, influenced by marketing and strong reviews, storytelling themes, and actors and filmmakers behind the projects. They'll most likely watch within the first 2 weeks. Franchises with a high number of intentionalists include The Sex Lives of College Girls, Breaking Bad, and Better Call Saul. The Handmaid's Tale, Game of Thrones, and Only Murders in the Building. The Culturists, they are heavily influenced by the buzz surrounding a popular release and see watching as an opportunity to connect with friends and family, as well as the larger cultural conversation. They'll most likely watch within the first month. Franchises with a high number of culturalists include Chicago Fire, Ted Lasso, True Detective, The Challenge, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's also like water cooler talk when they talk about that. That's what they mean. The Flirt, as the name implies, these are the dabblers who are most interested in entertainment so they can come in and out of and will allow them to find common ground with others around them. They'll most likely watch when they have the time. Franchises with a large number of flirts include a large number of legacy shows like The Office, SpongeBob SquarePants, Gilmore Girls, South Park, and Friends, as well as reality shows like The Bachelor and Real Housewives. The words fan and superfan are used constantly to describe consumers of entertainment, but those terms are too generic for today's entertainment world. Fandoms are complex, says Fandom CMO Stephanie Freed. Understanding the layers of fan identity and authentically connecting with them at the right time and right place will be key for marketers looking to maximize success across streaming, theatrical, and video game releases. Really good insight. She's absolutely right. These categories are excellent, and it shows you, what brands have what popularity at what level, and not every brand is appropriate to have the same percentage of interest at every level. But this is fantastic information that people at DC, Disney, all these companies absolutely have on their own. They have their own sources of surveys and information, and this is what they need to make decisions. But unfortunately, at Disney, they've come to accept that they're going to destroy all of their content and try to reinvent it, and figuring that, well, there are Marvel fans that will support and will buy anything that's Marvel. They've just got that belief that there's nothing they can do to water down and ultimately destroy the interest and the fans. This fatigued percentage really shows you it's not true. People will get burnt out. There's a limit to the amount of content you can produce, especially if you want people to follow everything that's going on. Having more advocates and intentionalists in a fandom, as Marvel with 66% does over DC at 61%, can be advantage for a franchise, but that's not quite that cut and dried. According to Fandom study, 81% of Marvel fans would watch anything released in the franchise, while 67% of DC fans would do the same. That makes sense because there's not a lot of interconnected universe yet with DC. They're not showing a lot of that just yet. They have to build that. Conversely, just 38% of Marvel fans say they're focused on specific superheroes rather than the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, compared to 57% of DC fans who care more about one or two superheroes rather than the full DC universe. That could be a major factor of why only 20% of DC fans say they're fatigued by the number of releases in a year versus 36% of Marvel fans who feel that way. It's almost twice as many fans that say they're fatigued with Marvel. That's a lot. Through September, Fandom reports that The Batman was the global site's largest cinematic release. DC fans are also 20% more likely than Marvel fans to buy products, collectibles, clothes, even superhero-inspired menu items. Because Marvel, while, there's a big cinematic universe and it's got a big history, they're de-emphasizing their characters. They're making their characters less interesting, less likable, woke. They don't have arcs. Black Panther isn't even in Black Panther. Of course that's not going to be successful long term. Fandom's overall supposition is that on average, roughly half a franchise potential fan base is made up of culturalists and flirts, suggesting that marketing that can engage those fans can further expand a franchise's reach, especially for original projects that aren't part of pre-established intellectual property. Reaching consumers in an impactful way is not a one-size-fits-all formula, says Perkins Miller, CEO of Fandom. Understanding the spectrum of fan identity, now fan identity is on a spectrum, they've got the numbers, and how it affects fan behavior has never been more critical across the ever-expanding entertainment landscape. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Do you think Marvel, with their massive cinematic universe, never-ending, high-production, expensive content that they keep pushing out, that I don't know who could possibly have the time to keep up with, or who wouldn't at some point just say, look, there's enough of this. I don't even know what characters you want me to care about, but people don't seem to care about them. But let me know what you think of that in the comments below. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.